What's up, guys? This is Garrett.
And this is Johnny.
And this is Fantasy News and Brews. Thank you for tuning in. And today we are doing risky players with upside.
Yeah.
But with a low floor.
Low floor, high upside, what we all love.
Yeah, what we all are wanting is a low floor.
I know, right?
But the problem is these guys, they'll outscore the top players sometimes.
Yeah, maybe once in 4 or 5 weeks, but it's there.
It's there, but it's not. So these are some guys that if you have on your team, maybe consider moving them after a big week. Maybe consider buying low on these guys. Mm-hmm. What you do with this information is kind of up to you, but we're going to let you know who they are. And if you have any trade questions or anything like that, feel free to comment. We'll comment back. And, yeah.
I would think that most of these guys are owned in just about every league. And
if they're not, can I join your league?
Yeah, right. And in my opinion, I would rather have a guy with a higher floor, the safety, the consistency, over some of these guys that we're about to go over. But
yeah, I can see a couple that I have a tough time starting if I had them. I know I do have one of them. So let's just hop right in.
Let's do it.
Let's go right for it. I'll start.
Go ahead.
My guy, Blake Griffin. So Blake Griffin, he has a lower floor than most of these guys, I think. He, on the season, he's averaging 32 minutes with 13 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and, 2 turnovers and 0.1 block per game. So he's really not doing much this season. And it's really sad. It really, really is sad because, let's look at 3 seasons ago, the 2018 season. He was averaging 35 minutes, 25 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and the same amount of turnovers. So it's just really sad to see his decline. Mm-hmm. I know it's injury related. I know Jeremy Grant came in and they kind of play the same position. They're definitely on the floor together, but it's really sad what's happening, man. But every once in a while, when they played LA and they beat LA, which was not supposed to happen, he put up 40 fantasy points in a standard points league. 35 minutes, 23 points, 6 assists.
Yeah, it just seems like he tries when in big games.
Yeah.
Whereas he's a little more disinterested.
I don't know if it's his interest, if it's his injuries or what, but it seems like we get that vintage Blake once every 5 games or once every 3 games. He did go on a little bit of a tear. He had a couple of big games, 4 in a row, but past that, his stats are just not living up to what I hoped, and I'm sure what a lot of people hoped for Blake Griffin.
Especially when you draft him, I think, the 6th or 7th round?
Yeah, somewhere around there. I think he went 8th in ours, and it's a bummer. Yeah. It really is. He was a dark horse MVP in 2018, mm-hmm. and there's 3-4 years later, it looks like the dude can barely play basketball.
Yeah, I would say he's not a buy low. He's more of a get him off my team.
Yeah,
and get me something somewhat useful.
Yeah, and it's sad, but again, if you're playing in a DFS or the type of league we're in, where we just pick one game per week. He's not a bad person. You can kind of gauge what games he's going to be good in. The Lakers, he plays well against the Lakers. He plays well. He always plays pretty good against Miami. So, I don't know. Maybe you can get lucky with him if you're a really smart owner and maybe if Grant's out or something. Mm-hmm. But other than that, yeah, he's one of the guys that after he has a big game, I'd try to flip him.
Yeah, I agree.
But, all right, let's move on.
All right, next on the list we have Michael Porter Jr., and I know a lot of people were thinking that, he's a fantasy points god. After he came back from injury, he had 33 fantasy points, 46, 31, 3 games in a row. But the thing with Michael Porter Jr. is he sometimes doesn't get the minutes. He is not a great defensive player, and Mike Malone, he'll pull him sometimes. He'll bench him if things are tight, and that's not what you want with someone that you drafted in the 7th round.
No.
The last 3 games, 24 minutes, 18 minutes, 19 minutes. So that's someone with a pretty low floor, but we've seen the upside. We saw it last year when he played. We're seeing some flashes this year before he got, I think it was COVID or something going on.
Something that is weird to me with him is I have two things to say about him. One, minutes don't matter with him. He could get 35 minutes in a game and still kind of play bad. And then he can go out there in 5 minutes and double his score that he had in the 35-minute game. Mm-hmm. So he's he's a microwave. He's very hot, and he'll get hot very quick. But other times, he's just cold. Yeah. And it's so weird because you can't even, count on the minutes. Like, so, for example, if, let's say Will Barton's out or someone's out that will give him minutes, it's like he could take advantage of those minutes and still do nothing and then have a great game with limited minutes. He's tough to kind of figure out.
Yeah, if I knew he was going to get 30 minutes a game, he would be so good. But, yeah,
But even then, even if he gets 30, I mean, let's look. He had 35 minutes against Phoenix, and he put up 14 points and 11 rebounds. Great. The next game, he put up 27 minutes and doubled that. He doubled his fantasy score. So it's just like he's again, a high floor... Or a high ceiling, low floor player.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, maybe ship him, maybe wait until he has a couple good games in a row.
I have a theory that he might be injured because, I mean, his minutes have been low. Mm-hmm. He really hasn't looked like himself.
Yeah.
So I actually do have a concern that maybe there is something going on behind the scenes that we maybe don't know about. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I've been thinking since I've been watching him.
Yeah. I agree. Our suggestion, I guess, maybe, take a chance. You could hold him, see if he can turn it around. I would say right now you probably couldn't get much for him.
Maybe wait until he has a big game and then try. I don't know. But, if I had him on my team, I think I would hold because I know that he can be a fantasy beast when he gets in a rhythm. So, for me, I would rather wait and see than ship him and then he starts blowing up for someone else's team.
Yeah, and then you're going to have regrets.
That would really suck.
All right, who we have next?
JJJ. Jaren Jackson Jr., my guy, Michigan State, now on the Memphis Grizzlies. He's risky, and I think the reason that he's risky is because he hasn't played yet. Yeah. He's coming back from injury, and we don't really know what to expect.
It's a big question mark. It's up in the air.
Yeah, we can look at last year, and we can look at the progress that he made from 2018-2019 to 2019-2020. I mean... His minutes jumped by about 2 minutes, but his points jumped by about 5 points per game from 13 to 18. Rebounds stayed relatively the same. His assists went up. His blocks went up. His field goal percentage dropped a little bit, but not anything noticeable. His three-point percentage went up. So we don't know what to expect. I mean, he didn't really necessarily have a sophomore slump like some of these guys do. He actually improved quite a bit. I thought he looked really great on the floor when he was on the floor. That being said, when he comes in, coming off an injury, he's risky because he could come in, he could have these same improvements, and he could be a great player. And I mean, just from what the videos that I've seen, he looks like he's healthy, he looks like he's ready to go. And with technology going on, it's easier to recover from injuries. So I like him here. I like his upside. I think right now, and this is just my personal opinion, is the cheapest you're going to be able to get Jaren Jackson Jr. Because once he comes back, I am predicting that he's going to tear it up.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts on it.
That's a good take. I like that.
Yeah, and I mean, anyone who says I'm wrong, you can't prove it yet.
Yeah, I know, right?
So if you're worried about him, I mean, maybe you can try to flip him. But I personally, if he was on my team, I would keep him, and I think he's going to be a star when he comes back.
Yeah, don't sell low on him. I think, if anything, they'll start him off. They'll ease him into it, maybe keep him at 15, 20 minutes, and they'll add minutes here and there as soon as more games he has under his belt this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, if he's hitting that 28 to 30 minute mark like he did in previous years, he's good.
Yeah.
He's very efficient.
Again, like you said, expect him to ease into it, but once he gets going, I think he'll be getting you 20 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, maybe throw an assist or 2 in. He'll be decent with the blocks. Yeah. I would want him on my team, and give me a minute, I'm going to go make a trade offer. Just kidding. But, yeah, I really would want him.
Yeah, I like that. All right, next we have RJ Barrett.
Ooh.
And for...
Definition.
Yeah.
Definition of risky.
I would say in a points league, he's been all right. He's been pretty consistent.
Yeah, he's good in a points league where turnovers and shitty shooting doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, so I drafted RJ Barrett personally in the 11th round. And he is exceeding his ADP right now.
Talk about killing it.
And that's great. Great for points leagues. But in category leagues, you might be a little disappointed. It's been very up and down all season. Like, I'm going to give you some examples. First game of the season, 73% from the field. Second game, 13%. So that's kind of been his season. Same with his 3-point percentage. He'll come out on the floor and hit 100% of his threes, and the next game he'll hit 0%.
Literally, that happens often.
Literally 0. The last 2 games, 0 for 3, 0 for 1.
I mean, if I'm in a categories league and 3-point shooting counts, he's shooting 28% on the season. That is not a good look in a category league. Mm-hmm. But the issue is he will come out and hit like 5 for 5 on threes one night. And so you just can't ever guess.
It's tough.
It's so tough.
But, I mean, in all the other categories, like, he'll get you points, he'll get you boards.
Yeah.
A few assists here and there. Like, that's fine.
36 minutes per game.
So maybe if you're punting threes, then
please
go for it.
Yeah, you have to.
Great. But, yeah, points leagues, category leagues is a bit iffy.
I think he's excluded from this topic in points leagues. I think he's a fine play every day. I don't think it matters if you're not, if a field goal percentage doesn't matter. I think that he's a great play every single day. It's just in these category leagues, he's very risky. Like he'll put up James Harden's numbers one week, and then he'll go put up Jaren Jackson Jr. numbers, which is 0, because that's how bad he is shooting his threes sometimes. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. Maybe I think in a category league I would try to trade him. I would want more consistency than this boom or bust guy. And in a points league, maybe I'd try to get him if I could get him for low. I don't know what the asking price on him is in your league, but I mean, he's great in point leagues. Again, just so risky.
Yeah, I mean, he's just not that great of a shooter, and he's a guy who takes a lot of shots. So,
yeah, let's
do that with what you want. Do what you want with that.
Let's move on to another super streaky shooter, and that is a guy who is currently sitting on my bench. I actually benched this guy for Lonzo Ball, and that is Jamal Murray. Now, you guys might think I'm dumb for benching him for Lonzo, but we are in a pick one game a week type of league, and he's a scary play, man. He really is. I mean, I'll pick the wrong games often. I remember last week I picked a game where he got me 18 fantasy points. That is not someone you want that you picked in the third round.
No, absolutely not.
But then, of course, the next game he'll go and put up 44. So it's tough. I mean, on the season, he's averaging 35 minutes, so the minutes are not a problem with this guy. 19 points, that's great. 4 assists, a steal, 2 turnovers. He's shooting 45%, 35 from the 3. He's good, but again, same issue. He'll go from having 16 points to 50 to being cold and getting 15. And it's really tough to kind of...
It's kind of been the Joker show in Denver.
Yeah, it really is Joker's team. I know in the bubble, Jamal balled out, and I was really hoping that would translate to this season. And actually, granted, I got him in a trade. I didn't even draft him because I wasn't super high on him. Trade was too good to pass up, so I took him.
Yeah.
It's just a little tough to kind of play him if you can only pick one game a week, you know what I mean?
And that's the thing with Jamal Murray. Like, we saw his upside in the bubble. Yeah. And that's why he's on this list.
Yeah.
Because he can go for 50, 60 fantasy points.
If he can knock out the Clippers,
come back from a 1-3.
Down 3-1, like, this guy is a beast. He's a monster, and he shows that. I mean, there are some games where he'll put up 55 fantasy points. Mm-hmm. It's just, the next game he'll come out so cold.
Just don't know what's going on with him right now.
I have him. Personally, I'm holding him. I'm just really hoping that he kind of gets... I mean, he's still young. This is one of the younger guys. I know RJ Barrett's young too, and he's a sophomore. Mm-hmm. But, Jamal Murray, people forget he's only 23 years old. This is still a young dude who plays like a veteran sometimes.
He's still developing.
Totally. And so I'm holding him. I think that come playoff time, he'll be a very, very, very valuable asset. It's just getting there. That's with him. It's tough, but
I put him in the same, I would say, category as Devin Booker at the moment.
Oh God,
they're both just struggling.
Devin Booker, yeah, he's
struggling a little more because his ADP was a lot higher in second round.
Devin Booker's a little bit more consistent, I'd say. But he's just not getting those
just consistently
games.
Average.
Yeah, pretty much. But Jamal Murray, back to him. I say hold. I think you keep him, and I think you just let it ride.
Yeah, I like that take. All right, next on the list we have Jarrett Allen, and what a night he had tonight. Holy smokes. 59 fantasy points.
More than I thought.
And this is the thing with Allen. Like, all right, if I'm the GM of the Cleveland Cavaliers, I'll see this game and look at it like, we don't need Drummond. We have this young stud, 22 years old, who can do pretty much anything Drummond can do. 5 blocks, 23 points, 18 boards.
I think the problem is, I think they've known this since they got him, but the problem is, what do? Bench Drummond and then destroy his trade value?
That's an expensive piece sitting on your bench.
They have to play Drummond because they got to get rid of the guy. They can't just bench him. And here's the thing. Drummond is either going to get traded, or after the trade deadline, he's going to lose a ton of minutes. Mm-hmm. That is what's going to happen because they are committed to Jarrett Allen, and Jarrett Allen is showing he's just as good, if not better, than Andre Drummond as a restricted free agent who is going to be getting less money in free agency. Mm-hmm. The pieces are aligning, and yeah, he's risky right now only because Andre Drummond is in the picture.
So here's my advice. Don't trade him. Keep Jarrett Allen. He has so much upside. And yes, until they get rid of Drummond, he will play anywhere between 15 to 25 minutes. That's what you're going to get for now. Mm-hmm. But you got to hold him, man.
You heard it here first. I am telling you, I think Andre Drummond is gone. I think he's gone before the trade deadline. I think there's no chance he stays on the team. I don't have any insider info, but this is just using rationale. There's no reason to keep him on the team. Mm-hmm. All they're doing is losing an asset if they keep him on the team because he's gone in free agency. They're not keeping him. So keep Jarrett Allen until the trade deadline. That's all I say. And if Andre Drummond's on the team still, then maybe you think about moving him. But I actually say buy. Go get Jarrett Allen if you can get him for a reasonable or low price, mm-hmm. and then sit on him.
So here's a take. What if they're trying to limit Jarrett Allen by the time before he becomes a free agent so that he won't cost as much?
But then if they're limiting him, sure, do it with like JaVale McGee or something. Yeah. Don't do it with Andre Drummond, who you can move to a contender and get a piece back.
Yeah.
Like, there's no point in sitting on that, I don't know, what is he getting, like 30, 29 mil a year? Like, there's no point in sitting on that cap room to just let him walk in free agency. I mean, Andre Drummond is still a good player. Mm-hmm. Like, he's not a bad player. Like, they can get something for him.
Yeah.
So
it's a young Cavs team, tons of potential.
And Jarrett Allen fits that timeline, you know?
It does.
So.
All right, I think we have one more. No, that was it.
That was it. I was like, I don't have one. Do you have one?
No, I'm good.
So risky, high upside players with something holding them back, whether it's RJ Barrett can't make shot or Jarrett Allen having Andre Drummond sitting there. There's something holding these guys back, but these are guys, you want to have a plan with, I'd say.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to just, like, blindly not think about it and then start them all week,
And this is what we're here for. We're here to help you, tell you what to do with these players. Hit us up on Twitter, Discord even.
Yep. Sometimes we'll be going live on Twitch. You can find all of our stuff on our Twitter. Twitter is posted before and after on the video. It'll be in the bio. Just get a hold of us. We will help you. That is what we want to do. We decided we want to start this because it feels good to have a second opinion about any trade move or any waiver wire move, and that's what we're here for. We're here to give you that second opinion.
Definitely agree. Well, appreciate it. Thank you to the Fantasy Flock Network for having us. Always, each and every day. Hit us up on Twitter for any questions you might have. Give this video a like, subscribe to the Fantasy Flock Network, and
thank you so much. No, I don't have anything.
All right.
We'll see you guys soon.
Thanks.